everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the life and legacy of a legendary figure, Sun Tzu. This name might ring a bell. He's the mastermind behind the ancient Chinese military treatise, The Art of War. This book has been a battle bible for strategists and leaders for centuries. But who was the man behind the words? So, buckle up and get ready for a journey into the mind of a legendary strategist. Was Sun Tzu a brilliant general or a master storyteller? Let's find out. Sun Tzu, also known as Sun Tzu, personal name Sun Wu, was a Chinese military strategist, philosopher, and writer best known as the author of the classic work The Art of War, also known as the 13 Chapters, the earliest known treatise on war and military science. He lived in the Eastern Zhou period of ancient China. His magnum opus has had a deep influence on both Western and East Asian philosophy when it comes to matters regarding military strategy. His strategies often focused on alternatives to battle, including the use of spies, building alliances with allies, using deceit, stratagem, and a willingness to temporarily submit to powerful foes. He is regarded as a legendary figure in the world history of the military, especially more so in Chinese and East Asian culture. Popular since the time it was first published, The Art of War saw a resurgence in popularity during the 20th century. Besides military strategy, the tactics mentioned in the book have now found practical use in very competitive fields, such as politics, business, and sports. Sun Tzu, the enigmatic military strategist. Sun Tzu's role as a military general is a fascinating, yet somewhat murky, aspect of his life. Historical records place him during China's Eastern Zhou period, roughly between the 5th and 3rd centuries BC, suggesting he served in the military. Tradition paints a picture of a brilliant strategist who rose through the ranks to become a general under King Helu of Wu. His strategic genius is credited with leading the smaller state of Wu to victory over the mighty Chu. However, it's important to acknowledge that some details surrounding Sun Tzu's military career might be embellished. There's a chance these stories were elaborated upon over the centuries. Sun Tzu's family life. Sun Tzu's life as a military general is shrouded in the same mystery that surrounds other aspects of his life. Historical accounts generally place him during China's Eastern Zhou period, suggesting he served as a general sometime between the 5th and 3rd centuries BC. Tradition tells us he served under King Helu of Wu, and his strategic brilliance is credited with leading Wu to victory over the much larger state of Chu. The Art of War itself, while not a definitive account of his specific military exploits, offers valuable insights into his strategic thinking. The treatise delves into troop formations, the importance of gathering intelligence, and the need for decisive action at opportune moments. Sun Tzu also placed a high value on strong leadership and disciplined troops. The Art of War emphasizes clear commands, maintaining order within the ranks, and inspiring loyalty from soldiers. Top 7 facts about Sun Tzu's life. 1. Sun Tzu's existence is contested. The name Sun Tzu does not appear in major historical records written during the period he allegedly lived. Some historians therefore deem him a fictional character. Others have regarded him as identical to his supposed descendant, Sun Bin, who also wrote a military treatise titled Art of War. This claim was dismissed upon the discovery of 2 manuscripts in 1972 on the Art of War. One was held to be Sun Bin's and the other Sun Tzu's. 2. Sun Tzu was born in Qi. According to the records of the Grand Historian, he was born in the state of Qi. The historical record is an account by Sima Qian, a historian of the Han Dynasty. This fact is also contested. The Spring and Autumn Annals of Wu, another historical record, accounts that Sun Tzu was born in the state of Wu. It is where he later serves King Helu of Wu as a military strategist. 3. His birth name is Sun Wu. Chinese culture employs honorifics, which are titles or words used in respect of revered people. Sun was his family name. Tzu means master. He is popularly known as Sun Tzu, meaning master son. He was, however, born Sun Wu. He was a military strategist to the King of Wu. King Helu of Wu became the king after the assassination of King Liao. Sun Tzu was instrumental in attaining victory for the king in his battles against the rival state of Chu. They managed to capturing the capital of Chu in the Battle of Baho. It was one of the major battles waged between the two states. Sun Tzu studied military science. He won many battles for the King of Wu and later used his experience to write The Art of War. 4. He was a military strategist to the King of Wu. King Helu of Wu became the king after the assassination of King Liao. Sun Tzu was instrumental in attaining victory for the king in his battles against the rival state of Chu. They managed to capturing the capital of Chu in the Battle of Baho. It was one of the major battles waged between the two states. 5. Sun Tzu had to train 180 concubines into an army as a test of his skill. This is recorded in the records of the Grand Historian. Before King Hilu of Wu could hire him, Sun Tzu had to pass this test. He divided them into 2 groups and appointed 1 concubine as commander of each. Sima Qian narrates that when Sun Tzu first directed them to turn right, they chuckled. He repeated the command and they giggled again. At this point, he explained that if the soldiers understood a command but disobeyed, they were liable. 6. The unexpected victory at the Battle of Baho is accredited to Sun Tzu. At around 506 BC, the states of Wu and Chu were at war. Wu's army was greatly outnumbered. The king ordered retreat since the army could not effectively attack in such few numbers. However, the king's brother, Fugai, defied the king's orders and led the army of Wu in attacking Chu's brigade. Sun Tzu advised Fugai to use spies and study the enemy, which he did. They realized that Chu's army disliked their commander. It was unlikely that they would be willing to die for their commander. Fugai was inspired to attack. Wu won the war despite their fewer numbers. 7. He wrote The Art of War. It has been termed the most prestigious and influential book of strategy today. It is a military treatise detailing strategy for war. Having been in existence for over 2,000 years, generations of leaders, war generals, and politicians have benefited from Sun Tzu's ideas. It is used as instructional material at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. The art of deception, as outlined in the book, was widely used by the KGB. Military leaders have commented on the relevance of Sun Tzu's ideas in strategy. It has been translated into other languages, including English. The mystery of Sun Tzu. For generations, scholars have been trying to figure out who Sun Tzu was, if he existed at all. Legend has it that he was a Chinese military leader in an era known as the Spring and Autumn period. This was a time of great turmoil in China as many vassal states vied for power and control of the country's unpopulated territories. Under these circumstances, Sun Tzu's skills as a warrior were much in demand. As the story goes, the king of one of the feuding vassal states challenged Sun Tzu to prove his military expertise by turning a harem of royal courtesans into an organized, well-trained fighting force. At first, the courtesans failed to perform their duties. In response, Sun Tzu beheaded 2 of the king's favorites in front of everyone. After that, the courtesan armies followed orders perfectly, and the king was so impressed that he put Sun Tzu in charge of his whole military. The Art of War. Scholars do not know how the art of war came to be and whether or not Sun Tzu, if he existed, had anything to do with its creation. What they do know is that copies of the book, typically written on sets of sewn-together bamboo slats, ended up in the hands of politicians, military leaders, and scholars across China. From there, translated copies of Sun Tzu's work found their way to Korea and Japan. The oldest Japanese version dates from the 8th century AD. For more than 1,000 years, rulers and scholars across Asia consulted the art of war as they plotted their military maneuvers and imperial conquests. Japanese samurai, for example, studied it closely. However, it did not reach the Western world until the end of the 18th century when a Jesuit missionary translated the book into French. Legacy of Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu's art of war has influenced many notable figures. The Han Dynasty historian Sima Qian recounted that China's first historical emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi, considered the book invaluable in ending the warring states. In the 20th century, the Chinese communist leader Mao Zedong partially credited his 1949 victory over Chiang Kai-shek and the Kuomintang to the art of war. The work strongly influenced Mao's writings about guerrilla warfare, which further influenced communist insurgencies around the world. Sun Tzu's philosophy. Much of Sun Tzu's philosophy teachings revolve around the concept that victory without direct fighting is the most advantageous way to win. Part of attaining this type of battle-free victory involves 5 traits of successful military operations: the way, the weather, the terrain, the leadership, and discipline. The way, an integral part of Sun Tzu's philosophy, describes the harmonious relationship between the government and civilian populace. When governments treat their people fairly and with respect, the people will be loyal and more apt to support government decisions when conflict arises. People will also be more willing to join in the conflict if they believe in the government they will be tasked to defend. The weather means the literal seasons and conditions of whatever environment in which the battle will be waged. Certain weather conditions are not conducive for a military campaign. For instance, both winter and summer encompass dangerous conditions, such as blizzards or droughts, that can hinder the advancement, safety, health, and sustenance of a troop. Strategic use of resources. Part of a competent strategy is the intelligent use of resources. This is key to Sun Tzu's philosophy. Resources relate to everything needed for battle, including food, troops, money, and weapons. Once you've assessed the 5 traits, amassing and training your fighting contingent is the next priority. You should only gather fighters when you deem the battle to be absolutely necessary and believe victory is the likely outcome. Amassing a force before you determine this exploits the motivation, energy, and good faith of the people. If you assemble forces too early, the public and troops will be weary when the need becomes a reality later. Well, there you have it, folks. We explored the life and legacy of Sun Tzu, the enigmatic military strategist. Did his story surprise you? Did you find the crazy facts about his tactics believable? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, tell us what other historical figures you'd like us to investigate. For more fascinating journeys into the past, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.